Hi everyone, here's what's bothering me today. I have seen on pretty much all my social media feeds some variation of people don't want to work. Either it's from some sassy little shop somewhere that posted a sign in their glass door, or it's a pundit on news media who's ranting and railing about the lack of work ethic these days, or it's someone making a mockery of these, pointing out how no one wants to work for a terrible wage anymore. And they're using this to just expose how brutally terrible many of these working conditions are. I'm sure people have seen several of these pictures from people at, Wendy's or Chipotle or, even McDonald's or something. Everyone quit. No one wants to work, not even the managers, because people realized that their lives and their health and their safety is not worth that kind of exploitation. And quite frankly, good on them. Seeing and hearing to some of these stories about people pointing out how the hiring practices are terrible. They have to work for, abusive staff, they have to work for abusive owners or management, getting just whipped around with their hours rather than given a set schedule so that, especially if they're starting part-time, they could still go out somewhere else and find another part-time job and find a way to make it work. It's not that no one wants to work. It's that no one wants to work for terrible conditions. And who can blame them? Which brings us to some news. On May 19th, McDonald's workers are going to go on strike in a fight for $15 an hour. It is important that we do not cross picket lines, and it is important that we show them support and solidarity. It also makes me wonder if some of these, mass quits where people are saying, you know what? No, we're not doing this anymore with this pandemic and with rude customers and with terrible ownership and management, all for bottom of the barrel pay. No, you know what? We're not going to do it. I'm going to go start an OnlyFans or a Patreon or something. And that's completely valid, which means if you can't compete with those proper, either better paying jobs or alternatives such as Patreon, OnlyFans, whatever, if you can't compete with that, that's not necessarily a reflection on people. That's a reflection on you and your exploitative practices. What happened to loving the free market? Free market is saying you got to pay people more. Unless, of course, it's not about the free market and it's more about the desire for profit and continued exploitation. And that's what this is all about, truly. At the end of the day, it is about mass worker exploitation in the service industry and in the fast food industry, which is why here at, arguably the apex of the pandemic, people are saying, you know what? No, we're done, because we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we need to fight now so that this doesn't happen again, because this has been a literal hell. Workers deserve a living wage. Whether they are burger flippers or grocery clerks, people still have bills to pay. People still have struggles that they're facing, be it a mental or physical disorder or complications in their home life or some other aspect of family troubles or anything. You don't know. And if you can't afford to adequately pay and compensate the people that you hire, then you shouldn't be in business. It's not that people don't want to work. It's that they don't want to work for shitty jobs. And I don't mean in that micro, dirty, it's like just a bunch of hard work, but, do it and look, you'll make great money. Yeah, fine. Get into the trades. But that often requires some form of training, taking time off, which if you're already just barely making ends meet, you probably don't have the time or the resources to do that, or even the energy to do that, especially if you're pulling multiple jobs with poor pay, which is where a lot of Americans are at right now. You see how this all kind of compounds the problem? That is why I am really glad to see all these people finally recognizing their worth as workers and taking a stand. And I hope that the rest of us take a stand either in solidarity or just outright showing up to help support their protests and their picket lines with the McDonald's workers who are going to be fighting for 15 on May 19th. But the fact that this was barely in the news and that more people aren't kind of just pointing out how exploitive the system is, and it's not about the lack of desirable people working, it's about not wanting to work for pennies and for a terrible, sexist, racist, harassing boss or a group of management. That's the issue here. And the fact that people are ignoring that is definitely what's bothering me today.